I assume everyone here is relatively bullish on AI agents, but if somebody here is like, AI agents, I got them replying in my Twitter comments all the time, and maybe they find them relatively annoying, give us the bull case for AI agents if we've got any skeptics in the audience today.
Quick disclaimer, we have only for informational purposes, and any views expressed by anyone on the show are solely our opinions and not financial advice. Jax and our guests may hold positions in the companies, funds, or projects discussed. Please do your own research.
Bull case for AI agents, right, is you're living in an increasingly complex world in which the way I think about it is that historically we've always assumed that people are rational actors, but I don't think you can actually act rationally because rational actors assumes that you had access to all relevant information, go to make the best decision.
Yeah, there's a number of things like Vision said, so we get a lot of that. We figured parts creative industry, get a lot of games who come to us with visionary wants and needs. So yeah, I think we see it on multiple levels. I think on the entire production life cycle, there's a lot of benefits that AI agents can actually bring to game content. So we have some like studios relying on AI already to build like narrative content and even like creative for assets and only that expand our pipeline. So that's more like luxury side. On the player experience, that's I think where the really interesting area lies because we see a world where there is a diverse player experience that is really unrepeatable. Picture yourself playing a platform game where every single time you play it's going to be different based on what you've done in the past, to memories you collected. The data, the game telemetry that's been collected about your characters, about your values, about your market activity, guide you through potential assets that you could purchase with AI to level you up. Lots of vision riders.
Real quick, for people that are unfamiliar with an NPC, what is it and why does it impact gaming?
Traditionally, it's a bot. It's like people that builds it. Traditional gaming has it's a very straightforward. Very complexities. It's just elements for each characters in the game. The enemies could be just actors that you can interact with. So that's kind of the premise of the ABC. Up to date, they've been very charismatic. They have some smarts, but really with the dawn of AI, age specifically, you have the ability to attach. So we're intelligence and have kind of like relevance to the interactions with.
Yeah, so we see that NPCs and these AI agents in gaming are kind of really taking over. I mean, I swear I see them on Twitter all the time. My replies. Honestly, I'd like some more because I'm trying to boost my engagement numbers. So talk to us a little bit about why this is impactful for gaming. Why does it matter that we have smarter agents, or why does it matter that we have smarter NPCs in this game?
Yeah, I think it's definitely it's enriching the experience. It's one of the challenges of gaming is to keep players engaged. Just like studios go to great lengths to do that, this is just really a way to kind of fast forward all this. I think the traditional celebrity style agents that we see this with Twitter, I think that's really starting to see what that really means. I think that's going to proliferate way more, and kind of
And I feel like there are probably a few interesting use cases for AI agents. I'm sure I'd love to have you guys jump in on a few. So we've got gaming, we've got finance. I'm curious to the crowd, is there anyone here that would trust their crypto portfolio to an agent? I've got 0 hands. Guys, what's going on? I thought we were all about the agentic future. So tell us a little bit about the use cases that you specifically think are exciting about AI agents. Is it eventually we give them our DeFi portfolio?
We actually still, at the end of the day, actually want control over our assets. We want control over our lives. And that fundamentally influences how we think about our portfolio. As much as we think about how financial transactions are executed by financial institutions as well, really at the end of the day, that's not something that they're oh, cool, there's just going to be some agent that's going to go and do my portfolio for me. Not at all. Because if something goes wrong, it's the head of that person who's the portfolio manager. It's their head on the line. And so in this case of now we're saying, okay, great, you're going to create an agentic economy and maybe, right, at some point. And I think that's what we're really building towards. I will say at East Denver, it's probably been hyped way too much. So I will caveat all of this back. But there is kind of this, it really comes down to it's actually a principle and an agent question, right? It's actually this fact of who are your brokers with the system. So far in crypto, we build this kind of permissionless infrastructure in which you have smart contract execution. And a lot of those things really kind of facilitate and function as the brokers of a transaction. Best example of this is something like Uniswap, right? So you want to interact on a DEX or you want to swap your asset. You don't go to a broker, you interact with a smart contract in this case. That's where we're at right now. You give a ton of control over that system. For anything when you start going into agents, it's now the question of like, are you comfortable giving up that control? And is our system sophisticated enough to be able to do all those things? And so far, I would say it's not, right? And there's a number of reasons for that. Now, it's things such as like hallucinations on an LLM, right? This is nothing to do with portfolio management. It's simply you type in something on ChatGPT, give me some topic, I'll quite a response on this. And it could hallucinate, and you're going to have no information of whether it's true or not. Other ones are, for example, like the appropriateness itself. Is it getting you the actual like outcome that you want, or is it getting you something different, which it thinks that it's supposed to get to? And a lot of this is because AI agents reason, right? Like it's not just that they're bots and they're not the workflows. They are meant to reason based off of past information and subsequent information. And so the system is not quite there yet. And that's where you end up having a blocker of, can I have an AI agent manage a portfolio? It's not going to happen. I think a better thing is, it's able to give you responses of saying like, I want to invest. Where should I invest? And then of course you can go do your own research.
But definitely a buzzword. Can I have somebody explain what does it mean to have an agentic economy? Burn, dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, this. Alton's laughing because you literally had a panel on this on Monday on a similar topic. And I think Alton pushed that question on me then as well. So an agentic economy really is that, at least the way I think of it, is you have agents who are executing transactions, but you also have agents who are interacting with brokers or solvers. It actually starts going heavily, in my view, to the role of intents as well, where you have solvers that are executing transactions based off of capital and capital allocation. And then you have determination of best flow of capital, the direction of capital, and determining what is the best outcome. So you express the outcome that you want, and you have all these different groups that are executing it. And they're not all AI agents. I think the agentic economy does not assume, in my mind, that everything is an AI agent. It's simply that you have a system of different nodes, different pieces that are all executing a transaction on behalf of a user or a person.
Now, I was interviewing David from the Lit protocol, and he was saying that in the future, we may not go to the app store. We might just go to the agent store, and that the app paradigm as it exists may die in favor of the agent paradigm. So I just love to get an understanding from you guys. Do you feel like we might see the death of apps in like 2-3 years? Or we think like, hey, we'll always go to apps? Like, where do you think agents really slot in here? Like, are we going to be picking our favorite gaming agent?
Yeah, I think that's definitely going that way. I mean, I just talk to myself through how I do less research on my piece to use some answer for it. And I think it's, that's going to be across the board as well. Like, interactions with app stores, with game stores. We had a marketplace as well.
I think it's definitely become an worldwide interface for a lot of people. And it's just a start. I think, it goes together with the actual about, the hallucination and the actual reliability of it as well. That's obviously improving a lot. So people are more reliable. So, with that, it's good to see like how the app stores adopt it.
Now, do you think we're going to see that death of apps, or it's going to be a mix of both?
I kind of see a mix of both, to be honest. I think it's, like you might be that you interact with the platform and have that kind of route be to where you need to go. Like the simplest example of this is like a very like, archaic example is you're like calling, I don't know, like your insurance company and you're getting routed from one place to another. Ideally at a certain point, like they've started sorting out your system or you just get routed to where you need to go. Still doesn't really work. But depending on what your use case is or your platform, you might have those things route you. But I don't know if it just replaces the whole thing. At least not yet. Maybe like long tail, but in my mind, that's highly speculative still.
Now, I was interviewing Karan from Mira, and they're essentially an anti-hallucination software. And the idea, one of the things that he said that really stuck with me is that AI is literally the worst it will ever be. And it's only going to be getting better. So what are some of the things that we need to do in order to like kind of realize these really good AI agents that can actually materially improve people's lives?
Yeah, I think it's going to be different for every vertical who is created adopts it. For us, it's definitely there are a few challenges to be faced right now, and is to really get like full adoption by it is to make it affordable, accessible to anything, to shareboarding and to different applications. And I think
with that, we're at a point now where for us is from a lot cheaper, but it's still that we, especially in context, we have like very sizable like inference 10-bit stubby, which with RAG and addition for like several data, and I think we are constantly finding new ways to do that as well. So there's this balancing act between leveraging you like learning the training model or methodologies perhaps, as well as that kind of real time deference or context injection strategies. So I think that's
Absolutely. What do you think we need to do in order to really improve either the adoption of agents or the agents themselves to make them actually useful?
Yeah, so two things. One is like have more like clear product use cases, right? So actually building towards that. And there's plenty of companies doing that, but actually having the purpose of using on. The other one is, I think, you touched on a lot of it, but the other part is actually being able to set those constraints and guardrails. That's actually matters a lot. And there's a lot of investment on that, not actually as much from crypto companies, but more from traditional AI companies, right? So like NVIDIA, OpenAI, Sentient, all these guys are actually spending a lot of time thinking about how do you incorporate guardrails, because that is crucial if we're saying we want something to be done, but you have to be able to define the parameters of what you want done. If there's no parameters, then you can go off on the affinity. And so that starts getting more and more sophisticated as well. So until you have that, it's very difficult to say, we're going to use it for X, Y, Z.
Yeah, and I feel like I saw you about to say something, so hop in here real quick.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. I think the game use case, we definitely see that, and similar to how gaming has always been, you need to focus very much on user artboarding identification, and actually provide like the whole picture, like the product has to be right as well. I think I had a friend of mine that's like HP Enterprise, building like enterprise-led AI, and half of their cases are failing. It was the big banking systems, like they just would have done like fancy paper puff. And what ends up happening is people just dismiss it and part of fair. So I think it's just really understanding your audience, the problem you're trying to solve, and really just bringing your user along for the ride, especially in gaming, but really smooth up, hardware experience, educate them, get them familiar with the agents and what it could use you.
Let's talk to us a little bit about how we make sure that these agents are actually aligned with us. And then we'll go, I know we're at a ZK conference, I got to talk about privacy eventually, but talk to us about how we actually ensure that these agents have our best interests in mind.
From a Web3 standpoint, which is where I'll probably be most comfortable on it, one, and I think Sriram was talking later, should probably ask him on it too, is like the verifiability, right? Verifiability of what an agent is going to do. Are they pulling the right information? How are you sourcing it? All those kinds of things. That verifiability matters a lot. And so that's crucial if we're like, how do you actually make this whole thing work? And then the verifiability as well is like that source of information that they're using. So is that actually verifiable, or are they pulling it from something that also could be wrong? And so the decision-making there is crucial. And then, I think the last part, as we were talking about, is the actual policies and constraints. So again, being able to set those specific parameters around like appropriateness, hallucination, regulatory compliance, validation, like all these are like key aspects of like the types and guardrails, and they're basically a set of different categories. And being able to have all those different things, that becomes really important for this to work.
Yeah, and do you find that there's any difference in there in the gaming environment where people are like, I want to make sure my agent just doesn't sell all of my loot? I'm not a gamer. Guys, I'm not a gamer, unfortunately.
And we're, along with the creation of agent technology we leverage to also it kind of ties into the user onboarding and familiarity to educate them. And we actually do our work on scoping access. Like we have like transient wallets we spin up that is or probably aggregate into the 6 one, something similar. They should give it like a session-based access here. You want this agent to go and have to your best interest, but you want to have it like minimize and scope. And the hard stop for it is to have the wallet that is return. So we make sure like smart contract the accounts that we're doing there. I think like it's chatty of the killer area that I think their fee what they're tackling is a structured way to really like formalize and rule that, like you said, evaluation edgy. Just like I think the next steps are that you'll be involved.
Yeah, making this like tangible as well. A lot of it actually starts not too different from smart contract wallet policies, right? For normal wallet policies. And so for that, it's how do you enable like things of like, so it's normal wallet policies. If you guys have ever used a Fireblocks, it actually allows you to set policies for who can send out a transaction, what are the transaction requirements, all of those things. So it's very similar to when you think of a smart contract wallet. And that's where an AI agent like makes the most sense if it's going to be utilizing any of your financial assets, is It's making recommendations and making determinations of how your transaction should get executed. But you actually want that tied, ideally, in my mind, to some type of smart contract wallet or multi-sig. So you have signing control as well. That's where like there's cool stuff that like Lit Protocol are working on, Turnkey, Privy, Para, formerly Capsule. All of those guys are thinking about a lot of those things, but then it's adding those additional sophistications of, wait, how do I want to make sure my transaction doesn't get executed in the way that I don't want it?
Yeah, absolutely. And now that we're at a ZK conference, I know I have to mention privacy. I mean, who here, I just want a quick show of hands, who here has seen that meme where it's like me uploading like my company's most deepest secrets into an open ChatGPT window? I know I've done it myself too and all my financial stuff. So let's talk a little bit about privacy. And as we start to use these agents, like how do we entrust that one when we're giving them like our, financial data and all this important stuff, that they're not just going to like leak it or not act on behest of somebody else?
So I'm actually going to punt that question because I actually don't know if I can answer that as well. But from a privacy standpoint, I think like the other part I think about is actually the privacy settlement. So I think like Alio, Identity Aztec, some of the other privacy folks spoke earlier today. And we work with a bunch of them. And in our case, it's actually what transactions end up going through and settling on a privacy system, and how do the transactions actually enter into that. There's different ways of thinking about private compute, and maybe you're starting the transaction on an Ethereum side, or you're actually starting the transaction on a privacy system. So there's another privacy project we've been working with where they're actually building an AI agent system that lets you enable to essentially do private transactions. And so the part there is how you ensure that your AI agent is not about to, in a privacy world, about to do something that is illegal, or the assets are coming in from Bybit exploited North Korea Lazarus. And so, or interacting with those kinds of things. So I'm not going to answer on like the actual privacy part, but I think when we think of the world of privacy itself, that's where like, and if an AI agent is executing things on our privacy system and settling, that's where you have to think about that as well.
Yeah, I think that's some perspective of like the other side. But it's an age-old problem for global film players. You open up Candy Crush, you get a simple bundle, they push to you for the special, the special like some essence in the demon source. That is the results called like data analytics and data analysis, UMVC, segmentation of users, etc. So there's a lot of similarities to it as well with 20% agents. It's data. We need the data that your agents are going to be as informed as the quality of data to provide. So a few different approaches that we're taking a tagging classification approach there, where we had basically where like scales of like privacy and says to build data, and so basically be able to take some anonymized data and use that as aggregates to actually move for like more like matrix based stuff that can be added to the agent. But then also, we're looking at ways how we can actually tokenize and privatize from chain, like Berry states or states and agents to actually, similarly, like I said, kind of sub-stable data sets where you have the keys to the data, this.
Amazing. Oh, I know we have an open panel coming up here. So real quick, both of you tell people where they can find you online, where they can connect with you.
Treasureroom.io.
I like it.
Cool. So predicate.io. And then my Twitter handle is Pumpernickel, Pumpernikka. Shout it out.
I got to say, that's one of my favorite names. And you can find me at JAXXDWYER. Look at my name and just add an extra X to it. Guys, I hope you learned something about AI agents today. And, I'll see you around the conference.